profits for Northern ship owners. Slavery also earned huge profits for Southern plantation owners, thanks to Eli Whitney's cotton gin, invented in 1793. With the problem of processing the plant solved, the cotton industry grew rapidly, as did the need for slave field hands on the plantations. Significantly, 1793 was also the year Congress passed the first fugitive slave law, levying a $500 fine on anyone attempting to conceal or rescue an escaped slave. But this did nothing to stop slaves' resistance. By 1820, there had been over 250 slave revolts. The largest occurred in 1811, when a slave named Charles led 500 slaves in a revolt at the Andre sugar plantation north of New Orleans. After wounding Andre and killing his son, they seized arms and advanced down the coast, smashing and looting property. Terrified whites fled before them. In a battle with several hundred U.S. troops and militia, 83 slaves were killed. 16 were arrested, tried, and executed. Their heads were mounted on poles at intervals along the Mississippi River as a grim warning to all restless slaves. 2. There was now growing support in the North for solving the black problem by resettling free blacks in African colonies. Paul Cuffey, a Boston Quaker, took one shipload of black passengers to settle in Sierra Leone. In 1816, the American Colonization Society, ACS, was founded to promote the plan, in the belief that blacks were a troublesome minority, best gotten rid of. Prominent members included James Madison, Andrew Jackson, Daniel Webster, Stephen Douglass, and James Monroe. Congress supported the ACS, authorizing money to transport 20,000 free blacks to establish an African colony, which became Liberia. By 1819, there was an even balance between northern states that barred slavery and southern states that depended on it. As the friction between them grew more intense, a northern abolitionist movement sprang up. Abolitionists created what was called the Underground Railroad, an escape route to Canada for runaway slaves. Escapees were hunted by slave catchers, who were paid bounties for each runaway captured. Despite these dangers, as many as 20,000 slaves escaped on the Underground Railroad before the Civil War. Some returned to the South to serve as guides for other escapees. The most famous of these was Harriet Tubman, who carried a $10,000 bounty for her capture, dead or alive. Meanwhile, the slave revolts continued. In 1822, an informer revealed a plot by a free Haitian black, Denmark Vesey, to lead an uprising of all blacks in South Carolina. The plot was quickly crushed, and 37 blacks were executed. A black Boston ragman, David Walker, published a pamphlet called Walker's Appeal in 1830, calling upon all Southern slaves to revolt. Copies found their way below the Mason-Dixon line, the informal boundary between slave and free states, leading Southern port police to search ships for the incendiary pamphlet. Any black seaman found with one was jailed and flogged. 1 year later, fresh panic swept the South. Nat Turner, a 31-year-old Virginia slave, had awed fellow slaves with his report of hearing, quote, "a loud noise in the heavens," end of quote, followed by the appearance of a spirit who revealed that he had been chosen by God to lead the slaves out of bondage. With his disciples, Turner plotted a swift and terrible massacre that would terrify whites into fleeing before them. He and 5 slaves murdered their sleeping master, his wife, and 3 children. Seizing guns and ammunition, they sped from plantation to plantation, gathering 64 more recruits. In each house the mob burst into, they assassinated all white occupants and seized muskets, axes, scythes, swords,